Welcome to episode 238. Today I'm sharing with you my well overdue list of my 9 highly anticipated fiction book releases of the fourth quarter. Stay tuned. Today's episode is brought to you by audiobooks.com. New customers get 1 free audiobook when using our promo code AudioShelf. You just need to enter the code AudioShelf on the sign-up page, then click Apply, then fill out the rest of your account info. Support this podcast by using our code AudioShelf and get your first audiobook free. Hey everyone, I'm your host, Tamara Ford, and welcome to Book Chat here on the Shelf Addiction Podcast. Here on Book Chat, we get bookish with roundtable book discussions, book recommendation lists, interviews, and more. Be sure to check out shelfaddiction.com for even more content. While we are nearing the end of November, you don't want to miss these awesome book recommendations. I have something in a lot of flavors, from YA to adult, from romantic suspense to paranormal romance, and of course, one of my favorite genres, which is fantasy. Also, as we are well into the fourth quarter, I've had a chance to read several of these books already, so I'm excited to share these 9 titles with you. If you'd like to comment on something you've heard during today's episode, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Shelf Addiction. The links for everything related to today's episode are below in the show notes. All right, everybody, let's get this party started. We've got a lot of books to cover today, and as you already know, there are 9 of them, so we definitely should just jump right into it. Go ahead and grab your sheet of paper and a pen and get ready to write down some very good reads. Or you can open up your Goodreads app or any app that you're using to track your books and get ready to add some of these titles to your to-be-read shelf. We're going to start in October, and obviously all of these books were published in October, so they are all available right now. Let's start with Kill the Queen by Jennifer Estep. This is the first book in a Crown of Shards series. This is an adult fantasy title, and I have read plenty by Jennifer Estep. I've read some of her YA fantasy, and I have read lots of books from her Elemental Assassin series. So if you've read her before, I think you'll know if you already like her writing style or not. If you are new to her, this is the perfect place to start because it's a brand new series in a brand new world. So if you like adult fantasy, definitely give her a try. I'm going to read the publisher's blurb, and this sounds amazing. Gladiator meets Game of Thrones. A royal woman becomes a skilled warrior to destroy her murderous cousin, avenge her family, and save her kingdom in this first entry in a dazzling fantasy epic tale. An enthralling tale that combines magic, murder, intrigue, adventure, and a hint of romance. Now, as I said, I've read lots by her, and I actually had the pleasure of meeting her a few years back. She is absolutely fabulous. She is a pleasure to talk with, and I just love her creativity when it comes to these novels. So definitely add Kill the Queen to your TBR list. Next up is one of my absolute favorite authors. I have read so many books by her. It is absolutely not even funny. I think I would probably classify her as my auto-buy author almost. I almost buy everything. So this is Consumed by J.R. Ward. This is an adult contemporary romance, and this is the first in a brand new series that she is calling Firefighters. So definitely, this is very different from the things that I like best by her. I usually gravitate to her Black Dagger Brotherhood series, which is very long running. I've also read her Black Dagger Legacy series, which is a spinoff of that series, and I really enjoy that. But she is switching things up right now, and per the blurb, this is a brand new novel about an arson investigator, Anne Ashburn, who is consumed by her troubled past, her family's scorched legacy, and her current case, chasing a deadly killer. So it sounds like it's going to be a little bit of a thriller maybe, or a little bit of suspense in there with that romance. It's definitely contemporary. So, I mean, come on, I'm sure there's going to be some hot firefighters in there. So those who love some romance definitely don't miss out on this. I have read another contemporary romance by J.R. Ward, and I did enjoy it. So definitely this is high on my list to get finished, hopefully before the end of the year. And if you've already read Consumed, I want to know what you thought. My third pick from October is Kingdom of Ash, which is the 6th and final book in the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. Now, okay, this is a big one, guys. This is a 6th book in a series. So if you've been reading along, you know this is YA fantasy and you already know what this is about. This is a whopper finale coming in at 992 pages. Oh my gosh, Maas can write a book. Now, I recently have just fallen in love with this series. I'm actually on book number 4 right now as I'm recording this podcast. So I will definitely be finishing book 6 by the end of January for sure. And if you are a fan of this series, I know you've already read this. I know you have because it's so addictive. So let me tell you a little bit about the Throne of Glass series. So this is an epic young adult fantasy, although it kind of borders in new adult. You know, they've got some adult things going on. And Queen Aelin Galathynius' journey from slavery to king's assassin to the queen of a once great kingdom reaches this heart-rending finale as war erupts across her world. Okay, that is from the blurb, and I am super excited about it. I love that did not give any spoilers, which I fully appreciate. And yeah, there's not much to say. If you love YA fantasy, if you like epic fantasy and books that go deep and wide with the storytelling, with the world building, very developed world building, definitely check out the Throne of Glass series. So go ahead and add this entire series to your TBR shelf. Okay, book number 4 from October. I am so excited to share with you guys. I actually finished this a week ago now, I think, and that is Shades of Wicked, which is the first book in the Night Rebel series by Jeaniene Frost. This is adult paranormal romance, and if you don't know what that means, that is definitely kind of like urban fantasy in a modern setting with heavy romance. So, some of the other books that I have mentioned that are fantasy or urban fantasy don't have that really, really heavy romance element, but paranormal romance does. So this is a new series set in the Night Huntress world. So if you are familiar with her Night Huntress series, which I recommend for everyone, I reviewed this entire series back in the day on my YouTube channel. I just loved this series to death. So I was super excited to pick up the first in the Night Rebel series and find out what happened to one of the main characters from that previous series. So in Shades of Wicked, ruthless and sexy vampire Ian finally meets his match, and boy does he. I'm going to stop right there because I don't want to spoil anything, but I will tell you, for fans of the Night Huntress series, this is everything you want and more. We see some of our friends from the previous series on the page. So yes, you will get to see Bones again and Cat again and many others. If you haven't already read Shades of Wicked, definitely pick it up ASAP. It was a fabulous speedy read. And if you are new to the world, no worries. You do not need to backtrack, although you will want to. You can start here. There's enough back information without info dumping you. So you can start here and feel very comfortable with what is going on in the book. And this will whet your palate and you'll want to go back and read the rest of, what happened in this world. Trust me, you'll want to, but you don't have to. So definitely, if you have not read Jeaniene Frost before, definitely give her a try and start with Shades of Wicked. Okay, we have reached the end of October. I have one more book from my October list, and that is The Darkest Star by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I believe I've mentioned her in previous lists. This is the first book in the Origin series. This is a young adult science fiction / fantasy title with heavy YA romance. So this is set in the world of the Lux, which is a previous series she did. And just like the Jeaniene Frost series, you do not need to go back and read the Lux series to have a full appreciation for The Darkest Star. Now, I read the Lux series and loved it. And so, of course, I have already read The Darkest Star and I enjoyed it very much. I liked being back in that world. I liked seeing the aliens and dealing with all of the drama of humans interacting with the Lux and the Origins. Let me give you a little bit from the publisher's blurb. A girl pulled into a world she doesn't understand finds herself confronted by long-buried secrets, a betrayal that could tear her life apart, and Armentrout's most swoon-worthy book boyfriend yet. And you can just start here. Dive in. And like I said, it's definitely paranormal with a science fiction flair, with aliens and all of that, but it's definitely wholly sitting in YA. I mentioned that the Sarah J. Maas book was, kind of adult feeling. This isn't. To me, this really feels wholeheartedly young adult. So coming off of adult series, if you read a lot of adult series, you'll definitely feel the difference here, and it might be a little jarring for you. But if you love YA in its, truest, purest form, you will just love The Darkest Star. And if you are a fan of the Lux series, you will also enjoy The Darkest Star. It has that nostalgia, and you'll fall right back into this world and love it all over again. I only have 2 recommendations for November, and the very first one is an adult fiction title by one of my favorite authors in this contemporary fiction genre. That is Liane Moriarty. Her book is 9 Perfect Strangers, and this is the brilliant mind that created Big Little Lies and other amazing stories. So if you know Big Little Lies, that was made into a TV show on HBO, definitely read the book. The book was better. And she has tons of other books that are all awesome. And I have read many, many books by her, at least five books. So I definitely recommend it. So here's a little bit from the blurb. Could 10 days at a health resort really change you forever? 9 Perfect Strangers are about to find out. Dun, dun, dun. I love that this blurb is so obscure because you never really know what you're going to get until you're like knee deep into her books. And I have said that with other books. You think it's one thing and it's something else. And that's part of the, suspense of it all, because there is some suspense most times. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what these 9 Perfect Strangers have in common. This has also been getting a lot of buzz. If you are new to Liane Moriarty, definitely add both Big Little Lies and 9 Perfect Strangers to your TBR shelf. For my second book in November, we are going to switch gears and we are going to talk about a YA fantasy. And this is so unique. I have read a lot of books. Again, I always recommend authors that I am familiar with and I'm comfortable with recommending them because I know they are thebomb.com. So this is Marissa Meyer. And I have read her entire Lunar Chronicles series, and I just loved it. So the book I'm talking about today is Arch Enemies, which is the second book in the Renegade series. So book 1 is Renegades, and that came out last year. This is book 2 called Arch Enemies. And this is all about superheroes and villains. This really is a huge departure from the Lunar Chronicles series, which was a fantasy retelling, but don't get it twisted. Like literally, this is so unique, and I just really love what she's done with it in book 1. I haven't started Arch Enemies yet, but I'm definitely looking forward to it. If you are a fan of young adults, and if you love superheroes and villains, and if you definitely like a little bit of science fiction in with your fantasy, I think this would be a good choice for you. Definitely pick up Renegades as well as Arch Enemies if you haven't read the first book. That is required. And the good thing is this is only a trilogy, guys, so it's not like you're in for a long-running series or anything like that. So I think book 3 is going to be out in 2019, so you won't have long to wait. So definitely give it a try. Arch Enemies came out a few weeks ago, so if you've already read it, I would love to know if you enjoyed it. I've got 2 more books for you, and those are both going to be released in December. First is The Surrogate by Louise Jensen. This is coming out in the first week of December. You may recognize her name from books like The Gift and The Sister. I have read The Sister in a book club earlier this year, so I'm definitely looking forward to The Surrogate. It is a psychological thriller with some mystery aspects aspects, and this is definitely adult. So here's a little bit from the blurb. This is a psychological thriller which asks, how far will we go to create our perfect family? So this is a book centered about a couple who have tried everything to become parents, and they are at the point of giving up. Then they have a chance encounter with a childhood friend, and looks like they're going to have a surrogate. So it seems like there's going to be some drama there. It's going to be some dark secrets. You know how the psychological thrillers go. Nothing is ever what it seems. So definitely I had a good experience with The Sister, and I am familiar with The Gift. So I definitely think that The Surrogate could be a fun, quick read. So if you're down to mix things up and read a psychological thriller, definitely give Louise Jensen a try with The Surrogate. So my second book in December, and also the final book on this list, is Verity by Colleen Hoover. Now, she writes romance through and through. I adore Colleen Hoover's writing. I've read several books by her, and I have enjoyed them all immensely. But this standalone title is a romantic thriller. So this is definitely something a little different, and it is coming out on December 18th. I am especially interested in this because it's about a ghostwriter. So Loan Ashley is a struggling writer. She's on the brink of financial ruin. Then she accepts a job that she, I think, really wants. So she accepts this job offer of a lifetime. The job is to complete the remaining books of a successful series written by an author that is now injured and unable to finish it. So she comes to their home. She's ready to, get through the notes, and she's trying to go sort out the materials, and she uncovers something unexpected. Now, this is from the synopsis. What Loan doesn't expect to uncover in the chaotic office is an unfinished autobiography Verity never intended for anyone to read, page after page of bone-chilling admissions, including Verity's recollection of what really happened the day her daughter died. Oh my gosh. Okay, so obviously this woman is going to fall for this guy, and she's got some secrets that she's going to be keeping from him, Now that sounds like romantic suspense through and through, and I'm excited to see what Colleen Hoover does with it, because let me tell you, this woman has skills. And so while, on the surface, this synopsis seems pretty cut and dry, I guarantee you there are going to be some surprises and shocks all along the way. And I bet we're going to care about this couple, because she has the ability to make you care about a couple that have no business being together. That's for real. She's got that down. So if you are a Colleen Hoover fan, I know this is already on your TBR list, but if you are new to Colleen Hoover, I definitely recommend you give it a try. And if you want other recommendations that I've read by her, feel free to hit me up on Twitter and I can give you a few. Okay, wow, we have reached the end of this list. These are the 9 books that I recommend for the fourth quarter of 2018. I hope you've enjoyed this list, and I hope that you've jotted a few down for your upcoming reading. And I always love to hear what you thought of the books that I'm recommending. If you've already read them, please, talk to me on Twitter or Instagram. I would love to have a conversation about any of these books. It is always fun to talk books with fellow book lovers. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will catch you next week with another book chat episode. And until then, happy reading. Take care, everyone. If you enjoyed today's episode and would like to show your support, there are a few things you can do. Head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave a positive 5-star review. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Most importantly, you can share this podcast with friends and family that love pop culture, from books and audiobooks to TV and movies. I'll see you next time here on the Shelf Addiction Podcast.